Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Brian here along with Juliet. You've met in several podcasts before. Tonight's podcast is a very fantastic podcast. We got a great one brewing right here on the works.
Don't we always?
Well, yeah. Tonight's podcast is how, in the Spiritual Awakening series, tonight's podcast is how to stay
present in difficult times.
In difficult times, how to stay present. So I'm gonna just go ahead and jump right into the first question.
Love it. Do it.
So, and this is a multiple question. So,
so you have multiple answers.
Well, it's a question that has multiple parts. In Spiritual Awakening, in podcast prior, we spoke about you spoke about the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what this question pertains to. So
okay,
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. In Spiritual Awakening, it is spoken of attraction and law of attraction. So how would you, as a spiritual teacher, go about teaching someone who's lived in a life of difficult time and struggle and depression and poverty? How would you teach that person to change their attractions and their outlooks on their life because they become comfortable with that lifestyle?
Oh, it's a loaded question. So first of all, it's important to look at your current circumstances and realize that those are created because of a set of beliefs. Okay, so and that should be refreshing. A lot of people go, oh, that sounds like it's really hard to break, but your current circumstances are just a belief that's been created by conditions. Okay, and so whatever is done can be undone, which is really important. Now, it's really easy to get locked into the struggle of difficult times this day and age because our world operates on that drama. Okay, when you turn on the news, you don't see all of the beautiful prosperities of things happening in the world, all the wonderful things that are happening. You see all the most tragic things that are happening. So we become plugged into that. And
it would seem that like news and like newspapers and news channels and things like that, they feed off of fear. Definitely. In a sense. Definitely.
See, they seem to think that the best parts of life won't be interesting, but they are interesting. So people get kind of sucked into that as being, oh, this is what life is, this is what they are attracted to. This becomes a normal function to be attracted to drama. Okay, so when you see this as children, we, instead of gravitating toward what is really good and feels good and what is helpful, we start gravitating toward more of what is destructive and dramatic, and that becomes the norm. Okay, so when you're growing up, people, you lose the sense of the self and the soul, and it starts very early. So I'm going through this to help people understand where a belief system starts from, and it starts very early. We have no trouble as little kids identifying what we want to do as children. We really don't have any trouble dreaming about what we want to do when we're young. But then, we're told to grow up and get our head out of the clouds and get realistic and
create goals for yourself and
do something secure.
Work hard.
Whatever that means. Yeah, whatever that means. Whatever do something secure means is really do what I want you to do, don't do what you want to do. That's how that comes out. Okay, so that now your sense of identity is being questioned. What I want and who I am and what I feel passionate about isn't good enough. That isn't secure. So now I need to do what this other person says that I need to do for a sense of security, out of fear. So see, that is an adapted belief system that's already gotten the ball rolling in the wrong direction. Had your parents said, oh, so you want to be an astronaut, Great, let's do it. Let's dream it.
Well,
let's do it. Let's be it. This is fabulous. I want to surround your world with all of these wonderful things. Or an artist. This is really intense because people say, well, if you want to be an artist, you're going to be a starving artist. Nobody makes any money as an artist.
Well, I mean, okay.
That's absolutely not true.
Okay, well, wait. Just want to step back.
You want to rewind a little bit?
No, I want to step back there just for a second. You said something like, if parents would say, oh, well, you want to be an astronaut, well, let's do it. Shouldn't there be some form of not necessarily like a guideline or a limiting belief, but something that can be more attainable for a person?
Why isn't that attainable?
Because to be an astronaut, well, I guess.
Why isn't that attainable?
That's true, I suppose.
Who isn't an astronaut? If they want to be an astronaut, then they should do it. And if a little girl or a little boy wants to be a dancer, then they should do it. We get, people try to guide their children into, they think of the money. They think of the money and the security, and they aren't really thinking of the passion that goes with it. So if a kid said to his parents or her parents, I just want to pick up recycling for the rest of my life and just make stuff, and I want to sell it. And parents would go, well, that's not a very intent goal, but without seeing the real image in that child's mind that may be something phenomenal. Do you see what I'm saying? Something incredible. So we're just thinking about belief systems. We're talking about how you get derailed. Okay. And then once you get derailed, your whole life is based on what someone else is wanting and something someone else is needing out of a base of fear. So you've already lost yourself. And as a result of losing yourself, you're suffering. And as a result of that suffering, you've got poverty. You've got angst. You've got drama. You have disease. You have pain. You have the grand illusion. So when you want to come back to that in difficult times, really, we need to ask ourselves, where did I lose my sense of me? At that point, because this has been a product of my sense of losing me. If you don't have money and you don't have love and you're living completely unhappy and you hate your life and you're wondering where the hell am I and everything's a slippery slope, that is the product of a belief system. It has nothing to do with who you are. It has been the product of you following a path of who you aren't.
So you're saying that, so then that would kind of equate to a belief system. So believing that you are something, that starts the law of attraction or the attraction rolling and just does nothing. But from what you explained, the law of attraction in one of your other podcasts,
yes. We should talk about that.
That just starts the ball rolling.
Momentum.
And that brings things that brings
right
to you the things that you think about or along those lines.
Yeah, a real quick recap of what law of attraction is when you think something, you create a vibration. Remember that we're energy inside this physical form, okay? And you recognize energy everywhere. If you're around someone who's got a really bad energy about them, or they're, you go, ooh, there's just something, I just got to get out of here, and you can't really explain it. You just say that this person has a bad vibe and I need to leave, okay? That's because energies aren't meshing together. And when you feel frequencies, this is what you feel first from another being. You see, that's our first indicator, and we just bypass it. We don't even think that's really important. It's the most important thing there is. So understanding that you are energy, you operate on a frequency through your thoughts, which create your feelings. Your feelings are your indicator of what comes to you.
Those are your law of attraction.
That is your law of attraction.
Nice.
It is like that attracts like.
Did you catch that, everybody?
Symbol.
Your feelings.
Your feelings.
Whether here or here, they should be from here.
The feeling from the heart.
That's your law of attraction.
Right. But it starts with the thought in the mind. So if you are not observant, if you're not the observer, have not learned how to observe a thought and quiet this chattering stuff that's going on, it's really running your life. And your thoughts are going all over the place all day long, and things are happening to you, and the law of attraction is working 24/7. And it's bringing to you what you feel, what you're thinking about. And so just look at what you have in front of you right now and say, this is a product of what I have been thinking and feeling. And here's the thing, you may be thinking, I'm doing really good with my thoughts and with my feelings, but what's being produced in your life is going to be the indicator of what's really happening. So some of those belief systems are really deep, dug deep, deep, deep into your subconscious mind, and they're sabotaging your life. And now, so what I say, if you're finding that you are really in a place still where you don't want to be, it's time to get inside again and do some serious cleaning.
Clean out that trash.
Really clean the soul. Really, you need to be, going, okay, obviously I've got some things going on here because, either I'm in here to learn another lesson and go through more challenges, and there's something that I need to know in this situation, and that's accepting what is, and that acceptance is part of being a conscious individual. You see, anytime there's resistance, there's suffering. Anytime there's resistance, you're suffering. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a really bad relationship, let's use that as an example, and you're like, well, I don't want to be here, but I've got fear, and I want to leave, but I can't leave, and all this stuff. The fear is part of the ego mind that's going to hold you and say, you can't do this, nobody else will love you, or whatever it tells you, whatever the stuff that tells you. Okay, and that is what you're attracting over and over. Now, there are a lot of situations and difficult times where people go, I have children, I don't have a job, I need to leave someone who I'm not happy with, and how do I do that? That's really scary. And so that's a real jump of faith. Mm-hmm. Because when you have other children, that's a responsibility.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Children are very
you could go out, that's the thing, you could go out on your own and do whatever you're going to do by yourself, but when you have other independents and you have to worry about them, I see where women get hooked into being in a relationship just for the kids.
Right.
And what we have to say is, when you turn and understand that the law of attraction works for you and will work and drive a path for you to open doors, this is why consciousness work is so important. Because as long as you are acting out of fear and believing you can't do it, you're going to build momentum in that direction. You start saying, I absolutely can leave this person. I know without a shadow of a doubt that me and my children will be taken care of because I will do what is necessary. And you start to open doors. Do you see the difference? One way of thinking and feeling creates, and another way of thinking and feeling creates. Okay? So the circumstance that you may be in right now at this very moment, if you are wanting to shift, whether it's a new career or whatever that is, it starts with working that law of attraction. And instead of saying, I can't, saying, what can I do? What do I need to do? Now you even feel the difference in that when you start asking those questions. And then when you're meditating on that and those things are coming to you, you get that synchronicity. I love how that works. Mm-hmm. Because people come into your life, events start to unfold. It's like the path resurrects right beneath you and doors open. You start to see things that you need, start to read things that you need to know, hear things you need to hear. That's your synchronicity, and it's working in your favor to drive you exactly where you want to go. You see, law of attraction works all the time. All the time. So, what do you do when you're really in a bind and really in a crunch? You don't get submerged by it. You don't get negative. You don't get depressed. You don't create anxiety because you're going to create more of that.
Now, how do you do that, though?
You get into yourself. You get still. You realize first, you observe it, and you say, this is where I'm at. Whoa. See, if you can't observe where you're at, then your mind has got you. The ego mind has got you.
Okay.
Anytime.
Pay attention to that, people. If you cannot observe where you are right now,
that's right.
The ego mind or your mind has got a hold of you. And it's false, and it's leading you down a dark road. Believe me, I've been there, I know.
And it happens really quickly. And if you're not consistent in your meditations and you aren't consistent being an observer, and that when I drive that home more than anything, you must learn to observe your thoughts and your feelings without getting sucked in it. I say see it, don't be it. Once you're in it, you're swimming in the soup and the poison. Forget it. Game over.
You're drowning. You're drowning.
Well, you know,
you're going down in water. That's it.
It's terrible. Okay, and it's terrible, and you suffer upon suffering upon, and that's the snowball effect. That's the momentum that you bring. So if you're focused on the poverty, you're focused on the lack, you're focused on the stress, you're focused on that, you're going to build momentum in, you're going to dial in. I'm telling you, what you've got to do is look at it and say, well, this is a product of my belief system and my thoughts. I'm going to change it right now, because that's all you have is the moment right now. You can't wait for things to be better. You can't wait for any specific time, any specific date for the moon to be in a certain cycle. You can't wait for that, because you don't have that. You have the moment. You have it now. And you need to change the thought, and you need to change the feeling in the moment. And the way you do that is to get inside your body, take a breath, feel you. Not the situation, never the situation, feel you. And in yoga, we always say you come back to the breath. That's not this fluffy little thing that you do just because it's great. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Oh, you breathe. You breathe to center yourself. You breathe to get back to you, out of your head. You get out of your head when you feel your hands and you're in your breath. I'm here. And sometimes it gets real dramatic. You know, sometimes you really do. Maybe you have to clench your fist open, breathe, breathe. Sometimes you have to do a breath of fire and really zone in, because your mind can really have you locked. And you say to yourself, okay, I'm here in the present, and this is what is in the moment. It does not have to be this way, because once I change my feeling to my cupboard's bare, okay, what can I do now? Right. What resources can I use now? And you go that direction, and you take a step, and you take a step, and you take a step. And you don't go back to what do I not have, because you see then you're going right down the crapper all over again. And if you follow that, if you follow how that is working, that's simple basics for the law of attraction. I mean, I do go much further into that, because there is more to the law of attraction than just thought and feeling, building momentum. There is more to the folding of that, because see, if you're working and living in a life of fear and lack because you believe that's all you have, you'll never be happy. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how many jobs you change. It doesn't matter any of that. You will not be happy if you don't know your life purpose, if you don't know how to contribute, doing what you're passionate about, and if you don't know how to hone into that and observe and to stay on that frequency. You see? It's a whole circular, collective, integrated thing there.
And if you don't know how to do it, she is one that can help you.
I'm one person.
She's one of many that can help.
And there are many teachers out there that they have to be conscious individuals, and you need to know that, obviously. The ego must be separate. I'm here to tell you, I don't believe I'm the next walking Jesus, okay? There's none of that. If people are coming to you and saying that they're the birthed Messiah, run the other way, all right? People, we are just messengers. There is nothing I have inside of me that you don't have within you. And when you have another teacher who can be totally honest with you and say that, I am a humble person. I am just me. I am not this. Don't put me on a pedestal. I'm not asking to be there. I'm just here to show you how to light the switch, okay? Because just like everyone else, I spent years being terribly depressed. I went from one bad relationship to the next, living out of fear. I lived on the street. I mean, I know what it's like to go hungry. I know what it's like to live in fear. I know what it's like to operate out of being in a woman and being terrorized and being in fear and living that way all the time.
And not only that, you know, you're a beacon out there for people because you have attained consciousness and spiritual awakening as an author, a spiritual teacher, a healer, and a motivational speaker, and you do all of this work and you still maintain livelihood for 2 children.
It's not hard to do. When you love your life, you see, the trick is this. If you can't learn to love your life when it's not perfect, it never gets any better. You gotta learn to love it now, with all the mistakes in it, with all the crap going on. You've got to learn to be grateful. That's the very first thing I say. When you wake up in the morning, I'm grateful to have my feet. And you be genuine. I love to walk. And you open the door and you see the sun and you say, thank you, what a beautiful world I live in. And you start it that way. And if you don't know any other way to start building momentum, that's the easiest way to do it. Build momentum in your gratitude. And then in the evening time, you know, throughout the whole day, start saying things that you love. Oh, you know, what a beautiful sunset. Oh, thank you for the flowers, gorgeous. Oh, that's wonderful. Look at that person. Thank you for wearing that today. That's real eye candy for me. I mean, get there. You know, because people are amazing. If you just learn to look through a different set of glasses. Or maybe just take the damn things off, because most of us are looking through lenses that are dark and shaded, and they've got all these stipulations and all this, you know, and take the blinders off and see your world for what it is without judgment. You'd be surprised at how fantastic it is when you're no longer walking around judging people and having opinions about this and that and the other and expectations, and you can just be free to like the space you're in. You know, like the space you're in, and you see what I'm saying,
yeah,
and that very different feeling of having, instead of having that burden on you every single day of, oh, I got it. You listen to me. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Isn't that the beauty of it? If you get your butt up and you go to a job you can't stand, guess who's going there? You are. You said yes. You got your butt out of bed. You went to the job you didn't like. Do yourself a favor. Go find yourself something you do love. Okay? And the way to do that is to do inner reflection. Inner reflection. You won't know what you love until you get inside you. And you really start asking yourself the question, what do I love about life? Maybe it's searching back for when you were a kid. What did you really like to do? Or what just moves you? What inspires you? And then when you figure that out, and you know that, you know, because sometimes you can say, well, gosh, I love this and I love that. And you can have a big smorgasbord of things you like. What could you contribute every single day? If I said, what could you contribute and not get paid for, and you would love it? I mean, you would love it. You'd just say, I gotta give. I gotta do this. Now you know it. Bingo, there's your purpose right there. Because when money is no longer the object and it comes straight from the heart, the money comes to you in droves. It comes to you.
Do you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? That is fantastic advice. And with that will be the conclusion of our podcast this evening.
Okay.
So, with no further ado, again, thank you, Juliet, for doing another podcast and allowing me to sit in on a podcast and everything. So, make sure you check out the website and make sure that you book her for one-on-one solo sessions via Skype through the website, when you can find that link right somewhere like right here, you know. But anyway, thank you very much for watching our podcast.
I am here to help. I am here to help.
Many blessings to you, and many blessings to everyone, and she's here to help.
And blessings to everyone out there to find your life purpose too.
Life purpose.
Good
Here's to
evening.
life purpose. Cheers.
Cheersies. Good evening.
Good evening.